Whew. Oh boy. Yeah, my friends, this is well overdue. But I do have a reason. And just before we get into the main podcast, I'm going to tell you a little story that is the process of making this podcast. So, obviously, I made the podcast, I recorded it, with my friends Brad and Ewan several weeks ago. And, well, it didn't exactly go to plan. You see, I've said this before, I had received a certain vaccination for a certain ailment, and that had been early in the morning. Now, the first time I had received said medication, I had become quite sick later on in the nighttime. Well, we did the podcast at night, and what you'll notice throughout the course of this podcast is that I'm okay at the start, you know, I'm good. And then maybe halfway through, you're going to hear some sniffles. Now, I made sure to edit the audio so it's not loud, hopefully, but you might be able to hear them nonetheless. And then we get to the end. You see, the ending part, well, we had two problems, right? The first part was my hard drive space decided to die. And the second issue was that I fell off a cliff in terms of health, okay? We got to the stage where hard drive space was so bad, I just said, okay guys, we need to stop. Let's just talk about the questions that the viewers have submitted. And I was dead. It got so bad that Brad had to actually stop the podcast and say, you need to go to sleep. You need to go to sleep. So anyway, that was the podcast recorded, and then, you know, I made the template, which I uploaded for you to see, and I decided, well, we should probably redo this. I don't like the way that this ended. At the same time, Ewan had to go to bed, spoilers alert, so he wasn't actually there for the questions part. So, several days ago, Ewan, Brad, and I redid solely the questions part. It ended up being like an hour and 54 minutes long. And I didn't actually record them successfully. They recorded me, but it didn't record them. So, 2 days ago, we did it again and it worked fine. So this is the way it's going to work. Okay. This is the main podcast where we talk about the state of Destiny and our thoughts on the Witch Queen reveal and our hopes for weapon crafting and other systems and whatever. It's great. It's actually really solid. I've shown it to, I think, 1 or 2 friends, and they both loved it. And then I'm going to release the questions part as a separate podcast because it is actually longer than this. It is closer to 2 hours than this is. So I just thought I'd keep you informed of that. I'd tell you my little story. Now here's the thing. I still have the original Q&A part where I fall off a cliff. And I also have my version of the second Q&A attempt. I will upload them, hopefully, if I can, to my second channel. So if you kind of want more behind the scenes kind of stuff, that's where it'll check whenever, I don't know. Also, be sure to join the Discord. It's an amazing Discord, I'm telling you right now. The people are amazing. The conversations we've had, the theories we've discussed. If you're somebody who's interested in Destiny 2's lore and you have your own theories or you want to know what other people are thinking, this is the place to be. 100%. And you get to talk to me as well. It's awesome. So link for that is in the description below. And yeah, I think that's basically it. Okay. Well, enjoy the podcast. Let me know what you think. If you have any suggestions for how I should do further podcasts in the future, let me know. And yeah, talk to you later. Bye. Okay, and we are good to go. Okay, hello my friends. I have been talking about the fact that I'm doing, or that I would be doing a podcast ever since I say late last week, and in the pinned comment of my videos, I have asked if you have any questions or topics you want us to talk about, to leave them, and many of you have been gracious enough to do so. So today, the day of reckoning has come. I am now going to talk with my friends about the things that you want us to talk about, as well as things that we want to talk about. And it'll be fun. It'll be chill. I haven't decided yet if there's going to be gameplay in the background or just like a animated wallpaper or some crap like that. But regardless, this is a podcast, and so it's designed to just be played in the background. So yeah, that is it. It is what it is. So first of all, you know me. It's your boy, Venextron here. And joining me are my two buddies. We'll do alphabetical order. We have Brad.
Yo, how's it going?
And we have Ewan.
Hey yo, how are we doing?
And yeah, my dudes have agreed to join me. And yeah, I'd say okay, well, you know, before we get talking about the questions from the peeps, can we just a straight up question? What is your opinion of Destiny 2?
Ewan, do you want to go first? Because
Sure.
I'm gonna be talking for ages otherwise.
So like my current opinion on Destiny 2, like at this very moment.
Do you
Do I like the game? Wow. Whew. I would say that it's, for me, Destiny is a good game. It's one of those games where if I put it off for a while, I get the taste where I'm like, oh God, I could actually, I'd love to play some Destiny right now. And then I come back to it, and then I'm like, 30 minutes, 40 minutes in, I'm like, what am I doing? And then I'm just kind of like, yeah, you know what? I might just go play some Armor 3 or something instead, or something like that. Like, I can get into it, but like, especially when it gets to those stages of the late season, every single time, whenever it gets to the late season, you're just kind of like, there is literally no point to launching this game, other than to just get that number higher.
See, it's actually really interesting that you say that, and that's actually kind of a good segue to sort of my opinion. So, I actually believe that Destiny is in a really good position right now
compared to what it used to be. Yeah.
So, if you compare what we've had, you know, with previous seasons, I actually think that, you know, the amount of content that we have this season going forward is actually pretty good. You know, it's not necessarily something that we're used to having like sort of consistent. I think it's in a good position. I really love the story-driven sort of narrative that Destiny is going for with this current season. I love how much there is in terms of variety when it comes to weapons and just sort of other things, like, I want to say content variety, because let's use last season as an example. With last season, you had an activity which was 6 players, but this activity took place on existing locations, and it was fun. You had 6 of your buddies or 6 randoms, and you could go into, like, you know, the Vex portal and go into this sort of Vex domain, and, you know, it was really cool. The aesthetic was awesome. I absolutely love the design of that. But ultimately, you were starting off on a location that's basically already in the game. You know, with this season, not only do we have a new 6-player activity, you know, which I think is absolutely amazing, the way you're just teleported all around these different locations, and some people can argue, yeah, but you are sort of in the blind world at the same time. You know what, you are true, but we do have an extra activity in the Helm, which takes you to an entirely new map that we've never seen before, completely built from scratch. Yes, it's the Ascendant Realm, but we've never been to that part of the Ascendant Realm before. We've never actually seen what this looks like. You know, it's an entirely new thing, and I love that.
You're on about
I think
the
narrative...
Shattered Realm.
What's that?
You're on about the Shattered Realm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's really, really good. So I think this season has started strong. I think Destiny is in a really good position. The numbers have definitely spiked up in terms of how many players have actually returned. But going back to what Ewan said, those numbers always seem to fall off during the end of a season, you know? Whether that's a month to go or 2 weeks to go, people generally stop playing when the season comes to a close. And I genuinely think that that's because of a couple of reasons. One, I think people get burned out because they've spent many, many hours, you know, grinding their power level and doing all of these amazing things. And, you know, you have to keep in mind that usually when a season starts, the narrative is amazing, but the actual narrative, the story of a season, tends to actually finish halfway through the time the season's actually started, if that makes sense, you know? The last couple of weeks, you've sort of done all the weekly missions. There's nothing new coming your way, so I can understand why numbers fall off. But I guess going back to your original question, my opinion of Destiny, yes, I think is in a really good position right now, and I think that we actually have a strong season, because you know you've got the narrative, which is amazing. It's going to be lasting for 53 weeks, I believe. You've got the Festival of the Lost, introducing new armor, new Iron Banner armor, new Trials of Osiris armor, new Trials of Osiris weapons. The Gallowhorn's coming back. You've got the 30th anniversary. It's going to give you a new dungeon. You've got Thorn armor coming into play. You've got the Christmas event. Then you've got the end of season. The end of year event. And then that's going to take you straight into Witch Queen. So there's a lot coming for this season. So yeah, I think we're in a good position right now.
Yeah. I mean, like, just to add on, like, with that, like, I feel like for sure, the way that you play the game is definitely going to impact your enjoyment level. Like, if you're one of those people who, you know, you're 24, you live in your mom's basement, and all you do every single day is log on to Destiny for, like, every minute of every hour and every day, and it's like you've reached, like, season rank 100 within, like, 6 or 7 days.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing this to yourself. You're creating that content right for yourself.
Right. Yeah. Self-inflicting.
Yes, exactly. I think the way that, like, personally for me, I think the way the game is meant to be played, it's you just take it pretty casually.
Space yourself out.
It works out. Yeah, I think definitely. It's not a game that you sweat or grind.
Oh, 100%.
And I think a lot of people, I guess, don't really realize that, and then they come out and they start complaining to Bungie. It's like, oh, I don't have a lot of this. When it's like, when you take a step back and you realize, like, they do actually give us a decent amount of content. Okay, I know this season is going to go on for 6 months, which is, like, that's going to be really hard to accommodate. I mean, we've seen that before with Destiny when we've had, like, DLCs being delayed, pushed back, so, and then they've had to also extend the length of a season. What was it? Was it the season that Beyond Light came out? That was already
Season of Arrivals.
Yeah.
Although keep in mind, I think what's going to save this though is going to be the 30th anniversary, because when Season of Arrivals was delayed, the two factors come into play here. When Season of Arrivals was delayed, Beyond Light was still coming out in the same year. It wasn't delayed until the next year. Plus, they didn't have the 30th anniversary. So we're gonna have Festival of the Lost, a Christmas event, a new dungeon, new armor. And the 30th anniversary, all in less than 2 months.
Yeah.
So I think they might just save it, but you're absolutely right. If you're playing 100 hours a week, that's not Bungie's fault that you've run out of content. It's because, well, you've just spent your entire life on it. You know,
literally living an unhealthy lifestyle. You know,
right?
It's yeah.
I agree with that opinion.
Yeah, 100%. Like, any video game realistically isn't designed for you to be sweating it out and grinding it out.
True. True.
Yeah. Definitely. But yeah, I mean, like, to think about because I'm a very casual Destiny 2 player, I would say myself. I wouldn't play a lot of it. But then also at the same time, like, I'm also still kind of new to the franchise in that, like, it's only in the last, I'd say, couple of months I've actually started getting used to how Destiny works. Like, this time last year was me basically learning the game, and I found that, like, Destiny 2 was one of probably the hardest games for me to learn in terms of, like, actually getting on and figuring out what the hell do I do.
Right, there's
how do
a
I
lot
actually
to
progress in this game?
Yeah.
And
there's
I think,
a lot to
like,
think about.
They focus so much on the end game. They don't focus, I think, too much on new players coming in, how to help them sort of understand what they have to do to kind of actually feel like they're progressing in the game.
Yeah.
I
agree with that opinion as well. And I think
I felt that way before.
The new light experience that they implemented in the Cosmodrome, I honestly don't believe that gives the proper experience that new players should have, because They introduce you to controls, they show you how to use the UI, they introduce you to a strike, and they understand how you're supposed to play a strike and all this sort of stuff. But once you've completed the new light experience, you're thrown into the tower, you've got all these objectives, all of these people to talk to, you know, you've got people who are in the tower with you who's been playing the game for 4 years, and it's like, whoa, okay, I just completed all of this sort of new stuff I've never seen before, and now I've just been thrown into this place, and there's stuff everywhere, and I don't know where to go. So no, I can understand that. I can understand you would feel overwhelmed at first.
Oh yeah, and then there's all that content that gets vaulted as well. You know, it's like, yeah, it's just the past and everything that's important for new people has just been forgotten about. I don't know, but like in saying like all those like somewhat negative things I've been saying, it is still definitely, as you said, it's going in a good direction, definitely. And I'm really enjoying like right now how the story is going. I think it's definitely, we're at a good story arc right now. Things have actually starting to pick up because we're getting towards the end of it now.
Yeah, I mean we are in terms of narrative, we're definitely closing in on the sort of end of everything there. But
definitely.
I think the start of a new season is always a good start for people to come back to the game as well with your friends and sort of jump into the new stuff together, because everyone's on sort of that blank canvas. Everyone's starting the game again. All your light levels have been reset. You know, no one's in front of you, no one's behind you, and you can just play the game with your friends. And I really love that. I think Destiny is very, very enjoyable when you're playing with your friends, 100%.
Absolutely. Much better with friends. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited about the current state. I don't feel bored. I don't feel like there's nothing to do, and knowing what's coming, I am genuinely excited for it. And keep in mind, they haven't even released a roadmap yet. This is the only season so far where they haven't released a roadmap straight away. So once they release that roadmap, which I believe is in the next couple of weeks, going by what DMG said on Twitter, there might be some stuff in there that we don't even know about now, which they may include in that roadmap.
Like, yeah. So I mean,
I'm excited.
Considering we have like 6 months to work with, I'd say there's still going to be changing around so many dates. Definitely, they're going to be. So that would probably say, well, there's no roadmap.
Yeah, I'm excited about what's coming, and I genuinely believe that Destiny in its current state is in a better position now than what it was before. That's my closing answer.
Yes. No, I agree on that. Yeah.
So to give my opinion, what I'll do is I'll give my just general opinion, and then you guys had a lot of really interesting points, and I want to respond to those too. So my overall opinion, like what's my opinion of Destiny? I think when it comes to the bar and the standard of quality that I hold Destiny to, it's kind of changed. In my opinion, there have been two high points in the Destiny franchise. So, and this is usually like what I compare whatever the current state of the game to. So, in my opinion, the most I would say positive state of the game was probably year 3 of Destiny 1. Now, I'm not saying it had the most content or anything like that. I'm just talking about purely community sentiment and all of that. You had, SRL, you had strike specific loot, you had all the different, you just had so many different things that made the end game really interesting and really enjoyable, and that was really important. And this is going to tie into what I'm going to say as a response, but yeah, in my opinion, that was probably the most positive. Do I think we've hit a level of community positivity as that? No, I don't. Do I think we will? I actually am not sure, but what I will say is that this season in particular, I have noticed definitely an increase in community positivity. I go on the Bungie forums. I try to go on the Bungie forums at least once a day, and it's very rare that I see somebody genuinely, well, first of all, it's very rare that I see somebody genuinely approve of something that Bungie's done, and it's even rarer for that person to make that post and for it not to be at 0 upvotes and getting called a shill. So so this season in particular, I am seeing a lot of people, like, for example, this Iron Banner, the quest or whatever, not the bounties, but like the quest, didn't require heavy weapon kills. That was a really big pain in the butt last time or whatever. And so somebody was like, thank you so much for not requiring heavy weapon kills or whatever. Got a ton of upvotes. People really positive to the Witch Queen reveal. People really positive to the narrative. So what I will say, first of all, in terms of comparing this to Year 3 of Destiny, I don't think this game is at that point, but I definitely think it's going up. Now, the second peak, in my opinion, for the Destiny franchise, and I mean, okay, this is going against what Luke Smith has said, but I hope that someday we do get higher than this, is the...
I know what you're going to say now.
I would say, actually, the Shadowkeep before Beyond Light. Just in terms of... And this is in terms of all the content you had. You had 4... Is it 4 camp? No, 5... Wait. Yeah, you had 5 campaigns. You had the Red War, Curse of Osiris, Warmind, Forsaken, and you had Shadowkeep. You had 4 destinations from the base game. You had the 2 destinations from the DLCs. And then you had the 2 destinations from Forsaken. And then you had the Moon from Shadowkeep. You had match-made activities like Strikes, Crucible, Gambit Prime as well for the more hardcore people. You had Trials of Osiris, even though it was an absolute ruined activity. You had Menagerie, Reckoning, Black Armory Forges. You had a lot of content there, and there was so much gear connected to those different activities that if you were somebody like for example, just right off the bat, Hammerhead from Black Armory was insanely good. So you want a god roll from that, you're gonna go to the
that was
Black
meta.
Armory. Yeah, so you want that, you're gonna go to the Black Armory content and do that. Spare Rations was an insane hand cannon. You want that, you gotta go do Gambit Prime and Reckoning. So like in my opinion, I would honestly say right up until Beyond Light, that was probably the peak of Destiny in terms of content. So the reason why I'm mentioning all this is the kind of bar and the standard that I hold the franchise to. Now, you guys 100% know, and I've kind of mentioned it in some of my videos, I really don't like Beyond Light. I think I understand. I understand to a certain extent, like their reasons for why they did what they did in terms of like getting rid of Destination Zone or whatever, if it was for like upgrading the engine or whatever. I'm not saying I agree with it, but like, okay, it kind of makes sense. But it even if like it's an investment for the future, it still made the game really bad. When Beyond Light came out, after I beat the campaign, I just straight up stopped playing because the end game had like nothing. You took away so much content and the content that they did add in my opinion, just wasn't that fun.
No, I actually agree with that opinion.
Yeah, and okay, so then we get to the seasons, right? And it's funny, and this is where I'm gonna start kind of responding to your points. So it's funny because when Ewan was talking about how like he was getting into the game, he said something along the line. You think you said something along the lines of like figuring out like this is like how Destiny worked or something like that.
I did, yeah.
It's really interesting because, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, did you ever play the game like properly before the seasonal model was introduced, or like was it always seasons?
So I remember, like back when I first bought the game, that would have been a couple of years. That would have been like a couple of years ago. It was way back before. I think it was before the seasonal models, yeah.
But like when you actually got into the game, like properly were playing it.
Well, no. So when I actually started properly playing it, it would have been like summer of last year.
That was when we were all playing, wasn't it? Doing raids and stuff.
Yeah.
Literally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was like, so like I had like, compared to like the likes of you, Brad, and like some of the others in our clan, like my level, I had a lot to climb up to. And I was just I was wondering, like, I just felt like it was just very directionless as to like I guess I just don't have a lot of like experience with these kind of games, but even still, it definitely did felt very directionless and just kind of dumped into the game and just kind of like, oh, figure it out for yourself.
The reason why I mentioned that is because, like, you know, as somebody who's been playing since year one of Destiny 1, the whole seasonal model, it's still something I'm actually getting used to. And I would say this is the first time that I've played a season, like a season, and I've been like, I like everything to do with this content model.
Right.
So I think, I can't remember exactly like what the first like season was. Actually, no, it was Season of the Undying. I didn't really care. It was kind of it was whatever. Season of Dawn looked pretty cool, but you know what, as much as I think it was cool, and as much as like they had like some cool like missions and stuff like that, because I didn't play, I don't know how well the end game worked, so I'm actually not going to comment on that. Then we had Season of the Worthy, which was a nightmare. You know, our nickname for it was Season of the Unworthy. It was just it was the activity. People hated the activity. It was just whatever. Then you had Season of Arrivals, which it was okay, but I'm not even gonna give an opinion on that because it wasn't designed to be a 6-month or 5-month long season. So
can I say something about Season of Arrivals just a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Just a tiny bit. I actually think, and I'm this is a very personal opinion. I actually think that Season of Arrivals has the best start to a season we've ever had. The best start to the season. You know,
100%.
Listening to the voices and being grabbed in the middle of the air on Io towards a pyramid ship and opening up your map and seeing pyramids and all of these destinations. The best start to a season.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with you there. And again, I think if it was just a normal 3-month season, I think it would be amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then it's funny because then you compare that then to Season of the Hunt. Now, I really did not like Season of the Hunt. I didn't do anything to do with it.
I didn't like it either.
Yeah. Then you have the one after that, Season of the Chosen. Now, that actually had so Season of the Hunt kind of had an interesting narrative with Uldren, but I felt like they didn't do that much with it. At least with Season of the Chosen, you had a little bit more. You had a whole strike. There was more to it, you know. There was more.
Yeah.
And you had the activity, which it's actually funny, right? Because yes, technically the Wrathborn hunts, whatever they're called, they're kind of to do with Uldren, but it isn't really, you know. At least with Season of the Chosen, you had the battlegrounds. You know, it's all about, again, to do with the narrative with Keitel and proving that you're
right.
worthy.
Plus the dialogue changed every single week with the battlegrounds.
Yes, it was very good. It was very good. So that was better. That was better. I still didn't play it as much, but it was better. Then we had Season of the Splicer, and that was even a step up further. The narrative, I actually thought was really interesting. There was more. It's almost as if like the budget goes up each season.
Right.
You had the Botsa Ruins, which is at the end of the Scourge of the Past raid. You had that whole thing, the scannables, the dialogue, really nice detail. You had the helm with like the little hangar area with all the fallen and the tower, and then you had the whole narrative with Saint 14, Osiris, and Lakshmi. Really interesting. And that was actually when I began properly grinding the seasonal content, the override and the expunge missions. Now, I didn't really like override, and the reason for this is actually an issue that this season has fixed. So comparing this season to last season, and this is really, I think, the main reason why I like this season a lot. It's to do with the content pacing. So I think, again, it was you, and he was talking about how, like, you know, you got people that just play the game 24/7 and then they just, like, they're burned out. And it's funny, and I just remember now, another reason why I mentioned the whole thing about how, like, this seasonal model is technically new for Destiny is because content droughts are really, like, a known thing for people that used to play Destiny 1. And the reason for that is because the way they did it, there was very little drip feeding. They would just like, okay, release the DLC, everything's there, you do everything, and then like within a few weeks, then okay, now we're waiting for the next DLC. Now, what they've kind of managed, and I would actually say successfully done with this seasonal model now, is they've got it to the point where there's drip feeding, but it feels okay. Like, it's really funny when you do the Wayfinder quest or whatever, and then it tells you, oh, you have to wait until next week, like the whatever will commence next week.
Right.
I don't feel like, oh, dang it, oh man, I'm annoyed at that. I'm like, okay, I'll just wait and I'll see what happens, and I'll go do other stuff. So the good thing with this is, with the pacing, they've managed to slow things down, and they've managed to slow the players down, and so we're actually kind of just taking our time. We're just enjoying it. We're playing it. It's great.
I really like that, though.
It's
really like
good.
that.
It's really good, and it's a win-win. Bungie can release less content technically, and we don't get burned out. Now, in regards to the match-made activity, comparing this to last season, the reason why I really did end up hating that activity was because, yeah, you go into the Vex area or whatever, but it was at the very end of the overall mission. For the most part, you're literally just running around this little thing in a circle. It's just Gambit. You're just dunking motes, and then you're not going anywhere. With this activity, you're getting teleported all over the place, and you know it's keeping you like, listen, I might have the attention span of a goldfish, but I'm the goldfish giving you money. Teleport me around. Make me feel like I'm going places, you know? And I really enjoy it. So, okay, I've been rambling on. I'll just say this. I think Destiny is not quite at the peak it used to be at, and it's definitely not at the potential it has. But I do think, and I was very skeptical of this, but I do think that from Shadowkeep to Beyond Light, there was a sharp dive, and I do think it's been, and it hasn't just been slowly going back up. Like I mentioned earlier, it seems like the budget's been going up for each season. Each season's getting bigger and bigger and better and better and better. And if they keep doing that, and if they're opening up new branches of like the studio and they're getting more people, it's gonna be great. So my opinion is, I'm enjoying the game. I'm actually having fun. I haven't been burnt out yet, and it's been fun.
I mean, put it this way: us talking about all of this right now is actually making me want to go and play Destiny.
Yeah.
And I never felt that in the previous seasons, but right now, us talking about this, I'm like, I could really jump on that game right now and have a really good time.
Yeah, honestly, and like, I mean, and I think a really key thing that was hurting my experience with the game, and I don't want to go into that. I don't want to turn this into a whole thing. We'll save this for a different segment. Is they made Crucible feel way more enjoyable with the sandbox tuning.
Yes.
I like when you, me, and Paul just did Iron Banner for like however long. I didn't even need to do the bounties, but I was just having fun. It was fun.
We were just having fun. We did that all night, didn't we?
Yeah, it was great.
I had a really, really good time.
Like, even when I'm not like, the key thing about this season and why I'm enjoying the game so much is that I don't have to be actually grinding for anything to feel like I'm spending my time well. I can just play the game, just do whatever, play some Crucible. And you know what? That's the way it used to be in Destiny 1. I used to just play Crucible or play Strikes. And the fact that they've got that back, I think, But those are... Do you guys have any last things you want to add about your opinions on
one thing I did want to sort of touch upon, it was two things actually, and I've actually forgot one of the things, but I'll probably remember after this. But you mentioned the bar in Destiny 1 and what things like were in Destiny 1. I actually kind of think it's difficult now to compare Destiny 2 to Destiny 1 just because of how different both games are now. Like, yes, you have Strikes, yes, you still have Crucible, but the way both of those things are structured, and with everything else that Destiny 2 has that Destiny 1 you would just never really... Right, you could compare the systems, but I think other than that, both games are so vastly different that they're on two completely separate standards now.
Yeah.
That you would, if this was 6 or 7 years ago, me and you wouldn't be talking about a seasonal model because that just didn't exist,
Yeah, exactly.
That was it. My second point was when you mentioned about how they're spreading out content and how it says like week, this step will continue next week or whatever. Like you said, I agree with that system. I think it's really, really well paced because it stops people from getting burned out. It forces people to sort of divide their time up in a more sort of healthy way. And it means that you're always going to be able to log into the game and there's going to be something new there. You know, I can log in next Tuesday, I can log in the next Tuesday after that, the next Tuesday after that, and there is always going to be new dialogue and something for me to do. And yeah, I really, really like that. I think the narrative is in a really good direction. Good sort of position right now. And yeah, that was my 2 points.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Well, if you guys are happy, I will we'll have that as a thing, like a question answered. I'm just gonna type in the timestamp just so I don't have to.
Did you have anything, Ewan?
I mean, just really quickly, I guess.
Go for it.
Just like, yeah, where we are right now is great. Like, I just like to really quickly compare to where we are, compared to where we were at the very start of the Beyond Light release.
Exactly.
I think, in my from my limited playtime, I say limited playtime because I only started properly playing since last year. But when Beyond Light released, that was a huge divide in the Destiny community. People like either really liked it or absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
And I was one of those people who thought, like, for a short while, I was like, this is actually pretty good. But then I was like, when I took a step back and actually took in like what had changed, I was like, to be honest, like this isn't all that amazing. Like when I look at the story now, the Beyond Light DLC story with Aramis, and then we look at what we've had for the last couple of seasons, that Beyond Light DLC story could have just fit in a seasonal, like one of those seasonal stories. That's so true.
It's so true.
It absolutely could have been.
That is so
true. Every single week. No, but right, every single week could have been a week to take down one of her lieutenants. You know the way, because you had to defeat her lieutenants.
You're absolutely right. I haven't looked at it like that.
But that's the thing. It was just a glorified seasonal story. That's all it was, and we had to pay for that. Okay, yeah, we got a subclass, but I mean, it's beyond, like, we've really come a long way in the last few months, and like what we're getting now, right now, is more worth it. I think.
I agree. I completely agree with that, and I actually hadn't looked at it in that sort of picture frame. I think you nailed that. Yeah, I agree.
That's very true.
Yeah. No, that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next thing that I want to ask is what okay, so this is what I was gonna ask about, like, your opinions on this season's narrative and all that, but what I'll probably do is how about we just like wait and let the weeks go out, and then we'll see when the narrative is even halfway done, because like for example, I think so far the narrative is great, but then 2 weeks from now, Aldrin could I don't know, do a front flip
and then just disappear and die.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so we'll just wait and we'll hold our praise. And
I mean, we have sort of answered our opinion, like, so.
But what I will ask is, what has been your opinion of the Witch Queen reveal? So we're talking about the trailers and like what the Bungie devs have said.
Ewan, have you seen the showcase?
Oh god, yeah, I've seen the showcase. Yeah, I loved it. I thought the whole right when they were building up beforehand, when they were leaking out the theme song or the theme tune with Sabatune, and it was like, then just that little teaser trailer then before they released, I think it's like, I actually feel like, compare. I know I've the second time now comparing to Beyond Light, but like it's with Sabatune, like, you actually feel like there is that sense of danger, that sense of like, okay, we're in for a ride here now. Like, this is actually like something of a worthy adversary here. Like, we're actually this makes for a good story. We're not like, you don't feel that sort of plot armor at all. You're like, you don't feel that comfort of just knowing like, sure, look, like, this will probably just happen. I
actually Yeah, I'm very, very, very excited for Witch Queen for a number of reasons, and I'm gonna do exactly what Ewan did and bring up Beyond Light. And the reason why I'm bringing up Beyond Light is because
Oh, actually, wait. Sorry. So just before we begin talking about Witch Queen, can I just ask again that
oh
we
yeah,
don't bring up leaks or talk about leaks or anything like that?
no, okay, yeah,
Oh yeah,
I
yeah. I
understand
don't
that.
even know any leaks, so
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
See, it's funny you see that. So I'm not gonna say any leaks at all. I just want to quickly put that out there. I'm not gonna say anything at all. But am I allowed to give my opinion of what I know without revealing anything?
Sure.
Okay, so I'll finish off with that then. But going back to Beyond Light, the reason why I'm bringing up Beyond Light and the reason why I'm comparing it to Beyond Light is because Beyond Light is the last expansion we got. We've actually experienced it, and it's what we've got right now to use as an example. If anyone were to ask the question, what was the latest content drop, you'd say Beyond Light because that was the latest expansion that we've had. So I can only really use that as the example. And the difference between Beyond Light and Witch Queen is that Aramis was a character that has never ever been built up properly. I would say she's been brought up in the lore, she's been brought up in the written lore, and people who are experts in the lore would know all of these things. But if you're a casual player who likes to jump in every week and just enjoy Destiny and its content, you'd be like, "Who's Aramis? I'm not really quite sure who Aramis is."
Yeah.
Whereas
And,
Savathun,
and you know what's actually really interesting as well is that when Beyond Light came out, the only
yeah,
in-game reference to Aramis being 0 Hour was actually taken out. So if you didn't read the lore or anything, then when
right.
Beyond Light came out, you had zero
Yeah,
previous knowledge
you
of
had
her.
zero knowledge. You had no idea
That was
who
me.
she was.
that was exactly me. I was never a big lore person. I never read a lot of the lore books, and that was me going into Beyond Light. I barely
Right,
knew
you don't know. Whereas with Savathun, we've had
It's
Savathun.
impossible not to know her.
It's impossible not
Oh,
to
yeah.
know it. Everyone knows the name
Her name has been
Savathun.
thrown around. Yeah.
People knew Savathun since Destiny 1, and that's because of the Taken King. Like it's like this character has been built up for not months, years. You know, so the hype and the knowledge around someone like Savathun is already existing. No one was hyped about Aramis because no one knew anything about her. We know about Savathun, and the most amazing thing actually about Savathun is the fact that everything we know about her might not even be true, because she is all about lies and deception, and that's just what her character is. And I love that because you can say that you know Savathun, but do you really? And it still sort of leaves that question, that mystery, which makes me even more excited for Witch Queen, because yes, we know so much about this character, but do we really actually know so much about this character? I think Beyond Light was just a huge marketing campaign for Stasis. The fact that we're not getting a new subclass in Witch Queen, I actually think is a very, very good thing, because it further encourages the devs to focus more on things like narrative and gameplay mechanics, which is exactly
also
what
making
we
sure
need.
that the subclass isn't broken in Crucible or anything else like Stasis
Right,
was.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I think they're taking, like they said in their TWAB, they're taking the time to sort of fine tune and bring up to speed the light subclasses. I really, really believe that is such a smart decision, and I fully support that. I think it's a really, really good thing that they're doing there. And I guess another of the reason why I'm really excited for Witch Queen is the fact that not only are you going to be going up against this character that's been built up for years, but you're going up against this character who now wields the power of the light. And what makes that scary? Well, we know what the light is. Again, this is something we've had since Destiny 1. We know exactly what the threat is, and we know exactly what arsenal she has, and that to me is terrifying because we've never had that before, and I'm genuinely excited for Witch Queen. I guess that's my answer in terms of a narrative point of view. I don't really want to take up too much time here, but I can really talk for ages. Weapon crafting, and there's just so much coming to this expansion, and if executed properly, which I have hopes that they will, considering the fact that they've now got more studios working with them. We have a new director now. I'm really, really hopeful, and I would say I'm not worried at all. I was a little bit worried with Beyond Light. I'm not worried about Witch Queen. I genuinely do think it's going to be amazing.
So my opinion of I guess, okay, so first of all, I thought, my opinion of the reveal is that I thought it was well done. I do think it was well done, and I enjoyed it. I feel like, I'm trying to think here. How much, okay, let me just think. So, Beyond Light was revealed in June, and it was supposed to come out in September originally.
But then it got delayed by 2 months.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking...
Yeah, it came out in November.
So, okay, so... Because what I was going to say is, I feel like... I kind of felt like it was shorter, the reveal was, and then in regards to Beyond Light. But if you think about it, there's twice as much time between now and Witch Queen than there was between Season of Arrivals, and so it makes sense for there to be less, because they'll reveal that, over. So that's fine. I thought the reveal was great. In terms of my opinion on Witch Queen at the moment, in regards to the narrative,
I think we should split it up. We should start with narrative first.
Okay, so my opinion of the narrative, I first of all like it more than Witch Queen, purely because I know what I'm getting. Now, I made a whole video about this, which is why Witch Queen is already smashing Beyond Light, and basically my reasoning behind the title of that video was that the marketing is actually honest. The marketing says you're going to go fight this hive god, and that's that's probably what you're going to be doing. I pulled clips from the Beyond Light trailers, and it was all this clickbait, like, oh, discover the truth, what lies beneath the ice. Well, I don't know, because we never checked.
We still don't really know what lies between the ice.
And then
that floating fish on the stranger's shoulder, exactly. I don't even know what that is.
Exactly.
What is that?
You want to talk about, just not just like the clickbait titles. Actually, wait, just before I talk. Okay, never mind. Alex just said that their movie started. Okay, so in regards to, like, I think when, obviously, the most important thing for non-Destiny players, the people that they're trying to get that are new to the game, it's the highest quality trailer, obviously, which is in this aspect the Blur trailer or cinematic, and you want to compare the two from the two expansions. Beyond Lights was purely focused on the pyramid ship. You had the amount of clips of the pyramid ship turning on in different parts of it, and then ultimately you have 3 characters: the stranger, Eris, and the drifter, and she says, this is what I want you to see. Well, ultimately, this is what I want you to see. Take a picture and then go, let's make some s'mores. Because honestly, we learned absolutely nothing about the pyramid ships. And but here's the thing, that's not the only crime. Listen, there could be maybe there's like a page in a lore book somewhere that talks about the drifter story progressing or something. But like, okay, they showed us, right? They showed us, that cutscene of the stranger and Eris and the drifter, fighting with like stasis and all that other stuff,
against the fallen,
and and then there's all this talk about, we have a light vanguard, why not one for the dark? And like, there was nothing to do. So like, again, going back, this is the highest budget trailer. 2 main focuses: pyramid ships and the 3 characters. And the funny thing is, Anna Bray, a character who was not in that trailer or any trailers, had more focus than that. So again, I'm not listening. I'm sure there are people that preferred that or whatever. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying we're talking about
but the marketing doesn't make sense.
And what the expectations are. Now, you want to compare that to Witch Queen, it's complete opposite. Immediately you're shown Savathun. The title is literally the character's name. And
yes, it
at that
is,
stage, right? At that stage, because and you know what else is actually really interesting, right? Beyond Light really relied on Europa in its marketing. What lies beneath the ice. Europa had a whole trailer and Vex, like, what have you seen out there? They showed us the destination for Witch Queen, and it's like, this just happens to be where she is. This just happens to be where she is. And like, it's gonna, it has all these secrets, but like, it's just like that's the icing on top. The focus is the character.
That's really true.
And it's not like, oh, what's the secret of Savathun's throne world or anything. No, it's just, and so, okay, so the reason why I like this so much, it actually isn't just because, so first of all, I feel like Beyond Light had just a little bit of false marketing, but it goes back to my Beyond Light narrative review. So like I spent a long time doing that review, and the main reason was because I had a really strong opinion, a really negative strong opinion on the campaign, and I wanted to back myself up. Like, I'm a debater, right? So I like to have all the evidence, and so the core reason, and again I touched on this a lot in my my video that I made last week, is the real reason why I hated Beyond Light's campaign was because it failed its narrative's purpose. So this brings us to the whole Bungie thing about finishing the story, right? The whole saga of Light and Dark. And so the way I saw it in June of last year, when they announced Beyond Light, Witch Queen, and Lightfall, I'm like, okay, this is the closing act of your story, and you're splitting into 3 parts, beginning, middle, and end. Well, Beyond Light didn't move it forward at all, because as cool as Stasis is, as cool as the Stranger might be, and as cool as you want to say Aramis is, they don't really have anything to do. They don't really have anything to do with the overall picture, because, like, okay, let's just take Aramis for example. Even if she was amazing, you're only just introducing her there. The thing with this story is that it's a 10-year story. The characters that matter are ultimately 10-year, 9-year, 8-year characters. I mean, even Drifter has been around for at least 4 years. I think that makes him worthy of actually mattering in that. So, for failing that bad and not moving that forward, that's why I hated it so much. And this is why I was really, really, really worried. It wasn't just that I was mad that Beyond Light was bad in my opinion. I was mad because I believed that this would then have a negative impact on the following expansions, because this was before they announced the final shape, obviously. So this is the way I saw it, right? You have the final arc of your story, and you've got beginning, middle, and end, okay? So the beginning is going to move the story forward meaningfully, set up the middle piece. The middle piece is going to then set up the ending, and then the ending's going to happen. Beyond Light, whatever was supposed to be in Beyond Light, and we can kind of have a guess at what that was probably going to be, didn't happen. But just because it didn't happen doesn't mean that that information doesn't need to happen. That information still needs to come out. And so at the time, what I was worried about is that they would either squeeze that information that was supposed to be in Beyond Light in Witch Queen, and then, like, I mean, Brad was just talking about how people know Savathun because she's been hyped up for years. Imagine them trying to squeeze in your, like, all the pyramid ship stuff or like the Winnower stuff, and all the marketing was split. Like listen, they have a pyramid ship in her throne world. That doesn't bother me because the focus is on Savathun. Imagine if all the trailers were 50-50 pyramid ships and then Savathun. I don't care. Like, I'm the biggest pyramid ship geek fanboy around, but like I don't think that's fair, because ultimately what that means is you have how long ago was the Taken King? Taken King was 2015. So you're talking 6 years. A 6-year character deserves a full expansion focused around her. Imagine if she lost that because of a character like Aramis. That
true.
was why I didn't like Beyond Light. So, okay, this is a long run, but this is to prove a point. This is why I like Witch Queen the most. This is the biggest reason, because it's fulfilling its purpose. We knew from the very beginning, with a title like Witch Queen, okay, this expansion is hive themed, and it's exactly that. So because of that, and also here's the thing, another reason why I like the narrative so much, and this is my final point on this, is because they announced the final shape, which means technically all the bad that Beyond Light did doesn't count, and then the little good in there actually kind of adds on top of the, so that actually, that's fine. They kind of saved themselves. So now we're back to 3 expansions in this final arc, a beginning, a middle, and an end, which means that you get Savathun out of the way and the hive out of the way, and you've got 2 whole beefy expansions for the pyramid
Yep.
ships and the
Yep,
darkness
yep.
and all that stuff. So that's actually, you know what's funny? I'm not like, I don't love Witch Queen mainly because of Witch Queen. I love it because of what it means for the future, really.
Yeah.
And it shows.
No, I
that
think that's a
Bungie
really
is-
good point.
They fixed the timeline. But
Yeah, I think that's a really,
me.
really
Sorry,
good point.
That was a big rant, but like this was make or break for me. This really was, because I mean, another thing with Beyond Light was that this was the replacement for Destiny 3, right? And so like when Beyond Light came out, I was like, okay, well, if this is literally the extent of what they're capable of making, what is this going to mean for the future?
Right, and the marketing, I want to refer to the marketing of Beyond Light because I think you spoke about that perfectly. It was all wrong. You had Luke Smith saying that, we're not going to get an expansion like Forsaken again.
Like who puts down their product?
Like, that's not how you sell something. Like, you don't talk about the very thing that everyone absolutely loved and then say we're never getting that again, because that instantly just lowers expectation, therefore it lowers the value of your product. The cinematic for Beyond Light, and I know we're talking about Witch Queen, but this is so important because, again, this is what we're used to. This is what we have and had, And the reason why we have such passionate opinions is because we love this game. We love this franchise and we love everything about it, and we want it to succeed. And when you're passionate about something, you're going to fight to the very end for that thing. And that's essentially why opinions are so high about Beyond Light. And that cinematic that they released for Beyond Light, at first, when you see it for the first time, is like, wow, this is amazing. But when you experience everything, you then sort of look back at that cinematic and you're like, that entire cinematic should not exist. Because the only accurate thing in that cinematic was the Stranger's Sparrow, which we got for pre-ordering the expansion. That floating fish above the Stranger's shoulder is nowhere to be seen. Luke Smith was asked in his stream, will we know more about it? Will we get it as a ghost? And he said, you'll have to play the expansion. Well, we've played the expansion. We still know nothing.
Yeah.
We still know absolutely nothing. You've got Eris Morn.
Apparently people, let's see, I've never actually seen it, but people, I can't remember if it was on Reddit or the forums, but apparently somewhere in the lore, it says that Clovis Bray made it. I could be wrong, right?
Right, but again, that's not good enough.
A little bit more, But yeah, you're right.
That is not good enough.
Like regardless, like this is the, and here's, what's actually interesting, right? Is that there were two Blur cinematics, as far as I'm aware, with the Stranger in them, and the fish appeared in both. Like, you're right.
Actually,
you're right.
Does
the fish even appear like in game?
No,
it's only in
okay.
cinematics?
Let me make this clear.
Yeah,
I need to. This is a fact. What I'm about to say. That fish was in the cinematics. It does not have an in-game rendered model.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah.
It does not have an in-game rendered model. Just take that. Just think about that. Think about the fact that I just said to you that Luke Smith said that we would have to play Beyond Light to find out more information about something that doesn't even have an in-game rendered model. Like, that to me is like, that's just one little piece of that cinematic that is completely false. You've got Aramis and you've got the Drifter. When the Drifter and when Eris are on Europa, you have that small little dialogue section where you see them for the first time. After you complete the mission that's following after that, they're gone. They're not there anymore. They're not on Europa. That is it. So that cinematic that you see with the fish, Eris, Drifter, that is completely irrelevant because it doesn't exist in the expansion. And then when she says, this is what I brought you here to see, and it turns to the pyramid ship, again, it's completely false because in game, that exact line was actually in reference to us arriving, and the pyramid ship basically had little to no involvement. And we don't even know if it was a real pyramid ship because everything that was pyramid related in terms of content in Beyond Light was all a simulation by Clovis. It wasn't actually anything legitimately pyramid. And when we did go to the pyramid to unlock stasis for the final time.
By the way, can I just say, I don't even feel like maybe Maybe there's some explanation somewhere, but I still don't feel like they explained that properly.
No,
But
no,
anyways,
they
yeah,
didn't.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, I was gonna close with this. That little section of the pyramid, like that's already in the game. We had that back in Shadowkeep.
Yeah,
You know,
the lighting's a little different, but that's.
I mean,
kind of it.
we had more pyramid in Shadowkeep
Yep.
than what we did in Beyond Light.
You
And
know what's funny, right? We had more pyramid ship in the expansion that didn't show anything to do with the pyramid ships.
right, they completely kept it quiet.
Yeah, I mean, like there was like a little snippet of you inside of a pyramid ship, but like you didn't know it was the pyramid.
No one
ship.
knew what it was because no one knew what the interior of a pyramid ship was like.
Exactly. And then you have like an eighth of that inside the one that's all about the pyramid ships.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
Like, okay, like here's the thing, right? If there's anybody out there that like genuinely doesn't believe that the pyramid ships were the focus of Beyond Light or supposed to be, what's the music you hear when you turn on the game?
Right,
Pyramid
exactly.
ship theme.
Also, keep in mind, and this is another thing which Beyond Light did terribly. Which by the way, I will be going on to Witch Queen because I know that's exactly what this podcast is about, and I'm going to be hyping up Witch Queen in just a second.
I think Ewan still needs to give his opinions as well.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I can move on to I can do that, but I'll close off with this. Before we had Beyond Light, we had Season of Arrivals. Season of Arrivals was an entire season which was completely hyping up the pyramid ships.
Yeah.
It was hyping up the darkness is coming in. All these planets are being taken away.
It's even more marketing, by the way.
You literally have, well, yeah, exactly. You literally have pyramid-esque ships flying over your head on Io, on Titan, and it looks absolutely incredible, and it was amazing. Beyond Light came out, we had nothing pyramid related, whereas what we're doing correctly this time, which is again why I say Destiny's in a really good position right now, we have a season which is all about Savathun and that build up, and we've actually got dialogue from Savathun herself actually in this current expansion, and we know that once this season finishes, which is hyping up Witch Queen, that we're going to get more Savathun, more Hive related narrative, and everything just makes sense, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We have a season full of pyramids and we get Aramis. We have a season about Savathun and we're actually getting Savathun. Imagine that. So I'm going to close off with that and sort of hand over to Ewan now. But that was just my thoughts.
From a story perspective, like what was your opinion on what is your opinion of Witch Queen so far?
So like I've like just there while you guys were kind of chatting away there, I've just kind of been doing some kind of quick background research, because like I was never a D1 player. I never sort of experienced any sort of previous knowledge of Savathun. Like my even like, to be honest, like I never understood exactly how big Savathun was until recently. But my opinion on Witch Queen is that I'm so hyped. I'm so hyped. I feel like as Guardians, like we're really starting to sort of meet our match. We're really starting to ramp up. We're getting into second gear now. We're really we're really sort of I'm trying to put this into words now.
No, you're fine.
I don't know.
No, don't worry about it. It's all good.
Yeah. My thoughts on Witch Queen. Yeah, no, my thoughts on Witch Queen kind of, they're not too developed right now. I think like as time goes on, I'll probably as time goes on, I'll have more to say.
We have more references to pull from, and we have more information. I'd say you're closer to like just a new player, you know. So,
I am. I still am a new player. Yeah. Like I don't know a lot about the lore and stuff like that.
Which makes your perspective still very valuable, because that is
100%.
That's a very sizable demographic of the player base.
Yeah.
No, your opinion is definitely valued, because keep in mind there are a lot of people who play this game right now and still have no idea what happened to Sagira. So don't worry about that, dude. Your opinion is definitely valid.
Yeah, exactly.
The amount of people I see on YouTube asking when are we going to know what actually happened to Segura, and yet there's an entire lore book released on it. It just goes to show how brilliantly Bungie do a fantastic job at telling their narrative in game.
You didn't read the MySpace blog? Okay. That's on you. Guess you're not reading.
Oh god. I'm shaking up a G Fuel right now.
You didn't see the MSN alert? Oh my god, guys, come on.
So okay,
and
so,
again, that's what I think Bungie is definitely improving. I think the narrative is going in a really, really good direction.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
definitely.
that's our thoughts on the narrative of Witch Queen. What would you say your opinions are of like? Okay, so like, if we can keep it a little brief, because like I know that I could talk for ages about this. If we could split it into, how about?
How long have we been going now?
We've been going on for an hour, but I'm actually not too. I'm thinking about maybe splitting the podcast into different video segments. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
We'll tell you what. I'll let you in lead with this one.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So Ewan, so what is okay? First off, what is your opinion on the confirmed destination so far that we've seen, like the world and the environment, all that? Second of all, what's your opinion on weapon crafting? And third, and you just think like you don't need to because like Bungie devs have been having interviews and telling just from like what you've seen, or even your idea of weapon crafting in general, what's your opinion on that? And then third, I'd say what do you want the base campaign to have in terms of keeping you playing? So for example, with Beyond Light, it was stuff like the Empire hunts, or the the simulations, the the actual activities within the base campaign, if you get me. What kind of what is it that this expansion, like the base destination, will need for you? Because like, for example, right, and the reason I asked this is because like, what will it take for you to actually use the destination, apart from say something like Nessus where you never touch it? So to summarize, opinion on the destination just in terms of looks and all that. Second, your opinion on the, I'm pretty sure it's like the only really confirmed new system, like gameplay system, which is like the weapon crafting. I'm separating that from the subclasses, because that's actually a question we'll be answering later on. And then third, what is it that this destination will need to have to make you keep using it in terms of like patrolling it and all that? Be as vague or as as you want.
To start off, like, I'll go with weapon crafting. I think it's a feature that should have been in the game for a long time. It's and now that we're getting it, it's great. It's one of these features that I guess kind of like the new what's it called? Is it the what's that
Transmog.
sort of
Yeah,
the transmog feature? Like the transmog feature, it's something that we're actually going to be able to use properly, like throughout the rest of the game. It's going to be so useful. Like, it's not a feature that is going to be like, it's going to be useful maybe just for the new lights for maybe a month or so, and then it's like they'll forget about that feature at the end game. It's a feature that everybody can use, regardless of how far you are into the game or how new you are into the game. And at both of those extreme ends, it's so useful. And if it's done right, shouldn't hopefully break the game. Because when I think about weapon crafting, I'm thinking about the fact that, okay, now everybody has probably easier access to, I'm guessing, the best rolls of the best weapons. Which I guess will take away the grindiness of the game.
We don't know quite yet how difficult it'll be, because you might need to, again, I don't know, but like you might need to earn the ability to craft that. So maybe it'll be easy for you to acquire those weapons, but then to actually get that weapon with a really god roll, you'd need to do. We don't know.
The only thing they did say about the weapon crafting is you have to specifically use the weapon that you want to sort of craft, and each weapon basically has a leveling system. So if you want to get like a god roll auto rifle, and you're continuously using an auto rifle throughout your gameplay, you're leveling up the auto rifle sort of aspect of the crafting table, which further allows you to craft even more for a auto rifle. So each gun has a leveling system now.
Yeah, I love that personally. I love that idea, because you're actually you're getting rewarded for the work that you're putting in to like when you find the weapons that you like, you're getting rewarded, and I suppose, how do I put, like, not only are you getting used to that, like, you're getting used to how that weapon works, and then on top of that, you're improving that weapon, and you now have a weapon that not only do you love, but it actually compares really well to everyone else's. Like, every weapon, I guess, now stands a chance. Like, there's always certain god rolls with certain weapons that it's like, oh, only this meta gun is going to be good this season. Whereas I feel like now with the weapon crafting, we now have more metas, if that makes sense.
That's a really, really good point that you've just made. I agree with you.
Yeah. And I think that's great. That would be great for the economy of D2, of the whole weapon economy, the whole weapon system. And even if it comes to the stage where, yes, okay, we will have to grind for good rolls, if it'll feel more rewarding, because when you go to grind for these weapons, you're like, okay, at least I know, like, I'm definitely going to get what I want when I get to the end of this grind. Whereas, like, when it comes to grinding for god rolls right now, you're just kind of like, Jesus, how long is it going to take before I get like this or before I get that?
Right.
It's that feeling of uncertainty that kind of puts you off trying to get
you're absolutely right.
Weapons in Destiny.
I agree.
Yeah, so that's my opinion. Like, definitely, weapon crafting is something that should definitely bring about such a huge mood change in playing the game, for everybody. You know, not just for endgame users, not just for new lights, for everybody.
Well, I mean, okay,
remind me again.
It depends also. Well, we don't quite yet know what the if there will be a paywall, and if there is, what that will be. But yeah, I'd say assuming it's for free, it's free.
Yeah, I don't think there's a paywall. I'll be honest with you. I think it's interesting that you mentioned a paywall, and the reason why I'm sort of the reason why I'm unsure but more convinced that it's not behind a paywall is because, one, it's a key important feature to the Witch Queen. They literally market the glaive, the new weapon, on the fact that you will not earn that, you will craft that. But what makes me think
Oh, but yeah, I get what you mean. I get what you mean.
Yeah, no, I get that. But one thing that like a very small percentage of me is saying maybe it could be behind a paywall is because, you know, you have to buy Witch Queen to play Witch Queen. But then again,
also,
you didn't have to. Well, right, but you.
Or
I guess
beyond that exotics.
If you didn't purchase Beyond Light, you could still go to Europa. So I very much doubt it's going to be behind a paywall.
Yeah, I don't think so. Like, cosmetics has always been the sort of the thing that you've had to really incentivize to pay for. And obviously we saw that with transmog, like transmog being a cosmetics thing, that was like incentivized to, oh yeah, you should probably buy some like materials if you want to like transmog more. But no, I think like mechanics wise, Destiny have never like, and I don't think will ever push a payment wall.
The only thing that they are putting behind a paywall, which I completely agree with, is Trials of Osiris. Trials of Osiris is now behind a paywall. The only way you can play Trials of Osiris is if you purchase Witch Queen. Which honestly I agree with, because One, it stops more cheaters and hackers. Most hackers are free to play.
Actually,
You
fair.
download Destiny, you get banned, you make a new Steam account, you download Destiny, you get banned, you make a new Steam account, you download Destiny. Like, it's a very rinse and repeat thing, and hackers play for free. Now, if a hacker wanted to keep on doing that, they'd have to buy Witch Queen every single time. So I do think the paywall behind Trials of Osiris is definitely justified. Going back to the weapon crafting, one point actually Ewan made, which I completely agree with, is the grinding aspect, and I really do hope that the weapon crafting fixes this, because you could have a friend of yours who you're playing with, and if they get a god roll within the first 20 minutes, whereas your god roll doesn't land until the next 5 hours, it's so, you just don't know. You just don't know when you're going to get this thing, and the only way it's possible is if you keep playing and playing and playing and playing. And I think the key word here is incentive. People want to be incentivized when they do this thing, and I think weapon leveling, weapon crafting, and whatever you do in the game is working towards an overall goal. I think is a really good incentive to actually encourage players to use weapons they don't necessarily use. I don't use snipers. I use hand cannons, but if I wanna get a really good roll on a sniper, then I better start using a sniper and level that thing up.
Yeah.
And I'm guaranteed to get something.
Yeah. I think something I was going to something I was going to say there. Oh god, actually. Wait, no, Ben, I'll let you go now because I've actually kind of forgot it.
I was just going to ask you, so like, what's your opinion on the destination in terms of like how it looks?
Oh, sorry, you're asking me. Actually, Brad, I might let you go first.
Okay, this is gonna be... I've spoken really highly about Witch Queen so far. The only thing that... the location doesn't... I'm excited for the location, it looks good. But I'm not, I'm not like, wow, this is really, really cool. And this is actually where sort of Beyond Light had more of the hype advantage when it came to destination, because we've never had... I mean, I guess Mars is sort of an exception, sort of, but we've never really had an ice planet.
True. Yeah.
We've never had that type of structure.
Technically, Europa had been in our minds, at least for D1 players, since D1.
Right, exactly.
Concept art.
Yeah, I love ice. Anyone who knows me knows I love ice and water and that sort of element. So Europa was a really killer location for me, and aesthetically, and everything to do with Europa as as a design, as a destination, I really, really like it. But I guess with Witch Queen, yes, we're in the throne world. Yes, there's going to be a massive castle, and we've never had that before technically, but sort of that jungle aspect, that green sort of jungle aspect, that is sort of giving me, Venus vibes and I guess old Chicago vibes, you could say, which I don't really want to push too heavy on my opinion, because we've technically never experienced old Chicago. But things like the European Dead Zone, I'm so used to sort of this green environment that the sort of jungle-ish swamp vibe doesn't really sit well with me. I don't feel like I've seen anything new. Like, the only new thing that I saw, to me personally, is that massive castle. But even then, you could say that some of the locations within that sort of trailer that we saw is basically a white, bleaked down color palette of the hive structures that we had in Shadowkeep. You take the exact same model and you change the color. We had red, now we have white. So in terms of design, I like it. Don't get me wrong. I do think it is a cool location.
It's not as like in your face, like
it's not like
so sick as Beyond Lights was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
then, do you know what? I'm actually gonna just like scrap the whole third question because it was a bit of just a whatever. But okay. So my opinion of, does anybody have any? Do you mind if I just go into like my thoughts on?
Well, I mean, Ewan, did you have any opinions on that, or?
I mean, something I'd like to see. With
the
new destination, I'm hoping that it has like with the throne world. I'm really hoping there's some sort of like I guess a city aspect to it.
Okay.
Something I'm kind of a sucker for with Destiny 2 is how Earth as a whole is connected. This is kind of straying off, I think, from the new destination, but something I've always wanted from Destiny is to see the representation of humanity and Earth um, in the world of Destiny. And that's something I always felt that I think I guess it was more maybe D1. I get like because I never properly played D1. Maybe I should go and probably play D1.
Could you just rephrase again what you mean about like
I do actually kind of understand what you're saying, if I'm honest with you.
Representing, like, are you talking about like wanting like a city destination, like the last city?
Yeah, I'd love to see some more content on Earth.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
like I feel like sorry, go ahead.
No, so like what, like in which way could the Witch Queen destination, because you're on about like a city aspect, so like for example excuse me, are you talking about like something like the Dreaming City where it's got like buildings that you can like go inside and stuff like that, or are you talking more of
Imagine a hive
like something
city.
more civilized, like with civilization, I guess. I just I like that was me kind of branching off, I guess, from the throne world.
I think it's a really valid point now.
That is a
because
like yes, sir, go on.
I'd like because I mean I would say that most worlds like would have some sort of a civilization.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd feel more immersed, I think, if I was in a world that had like some sort of a civilization or used to have a civilization, and then if it used to have a civilization, like you could kind of delve into like what happened here.
Which again, I mean, something like Beyond Light even had that with the remains of the Golden Age city there.
Mm-hmm. Right. You know what? That's so true. There was an entire location, like a city, like the Fallen like location there, and that's really true. I do like Europa. I think Europa is a really good location.
Yeah.
The only reason, like, by the way, I said I was gonna ditch that third question because I thought I kind of phrased it poorly. I didn't think anybody would have any answers for it. But like, if you have an answer for like 100%, yeah, go for it. Is there anything else that you'd want the destination to have?
Now that you say city, I really want a hive city. How cool would that be?
Yeah. It would be like, I hope it is fairly open world. Other than that, I don't have a lot of demands. No.
We've never really had a civilized area in Destiny, though. I mean, people can argue the last city, but all you've got is a tower overlooking a city. You've never actually... And I was actually having this conversation with you, Ben, a couple of days ago. I really wish they kept in some of the stuff, you know, with the end of season event where you had to run through the city to see the Traveler breaking out.
Do you know what was like a massive missed opportunity in my opinion? Maybe there was tech restraints, but like is like if you don't want to have something like massive like the city, even if they had connected the farm to the EDZ.
Oh, you know? Yes. Yeah.
You know, but no, I definitely agree. Yeah, 100%. I think no, but yeah, like, do I think they'll do like a city thing for the hive? I hope. I don't know. I actually don't. Like, I don't know.
Well, apparently, that cinematic with Savathun that we saw in the trailer, apparently that was the hive homeworld.
Okay,
so maybe we might get that.
When you say the hive homeworld, are you talking about like where they began as a species, or what?
I believe so. I can't remember what I've read, if I'm honest with you. I just remember reading something like that was Savathun. Sorry, not Savathun. That was the hive sort of homeworld that Savathun was on there.
Okay. I mean, I haven't heard anything about that, so I can't
comment. By the way, sort of slight off topic. How cool is Savathun's character model?
Oh yeah, so cool.
She looks amazing. And the
I'm a
voice
little,
actor is amazing as well.
I'm a little biased towards Oryx, but I do think she looks good. I do.
I mean,
I think
it's obviously good to have, it's
I
fair to
think
have a biased
I
opinion,
think the
but
coolest thing about her for me is actually the blue eyes. I think I could be wrong, but I have a theory that the blue eyes is like for the light or whatever.
yeah, I actually think that as well because
Uh,
if you look at the Hive ghosts, they have blue retina displays on them.
so I do think like she does look really cool. Actually, Brad, is there anything from like you said that you like the whole city element? Is there anything from the destination that well, actually no. First of all, actually, is there anything that you haven't said about weapon crafting?
I think the weapon crafting system is going to be good. I think the whole leveling system behind weapons gives more of an incentive for players to use other weapons and other varieties. So yeah, I'm really in a positive mindset when it comes to weapon crafting. The glaive I think is going to be an interesting weapon to use. It's more sort of melee attacks as well as having the ability to shoot something out of it. So. And the glaive introduces the weapon crafting aspect of the expansion. So yeah, overall I think it's a good thing. It's a new thing we're getting, as well as a new weapon type that we're getting. I don't really see any sort of negative thing about that.
And then what would you want? And is there anything else that you would want from the destination?
Honestly, I couldn't care less about the destination. I just want the narrative and the gameplay to be good.
I kind of feel that as well. Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess I'll just attack all three then. So starting off with the my opinion of the destination, I do agree with Brad that like I've never really been a jungle kind of guy. I remember like we thought that we were going to be getting Old Chicago. The reason why I was looking forward to that was because again the city aspect of that, it's not just like a swamp, but you're going through an old golden age city. That sounds really cool, but the throne world swampy. But to me, what I love about it is again the whole hive castle thing. And I was watching the trailers and like you have those big massive statues of like the hive knights with the swords or whatever, and there's a picture and it's like deep underground, and again there's like again another big massive castle with like those like I'm a sucker for statues. We went to my history class and I in I guess secondary or high school, we went to Berlin on a history trip, and they have a graveyard for Soviet soldiers, and there's this big massive like kind of tower, and then standing on that is a huge statue of a Soviet soldier holding a kid in one arm, and then he's got like a massive sword in the other. And like that was like for me the coolest thing, one of the coolest things about the whole trip. So like I see all these hive like statues with the swords and all. I'm like, oh, it's so I think that's cool. It is. I do think, right, it could be, I'll have to go back and check because I don't know, it could be a really valid point though, what you're saying about the whole recoloring the thing from red to white. If we go and we play this and it's just copy and paste textures with different colors, then yeah, it is gonna kind of take away from it. But if it's like completely different, like it's it's like built from scratch, then I will give it.
I mean, I can already tell you that now because I've watched the gameplay trailer about 1,000,000 times.
Okay, well,
and there's definitely new stuff in there. 100% there was new stuff in there.
Are you saying that they retextured everything? Or sorry, are you saying that they just
no? So what I'm saying is there is 100% new models in there, new textures, new models in there. But at some point, and I can actually reference this, in the gameplay trailer, they specifically talk about the new Legend game mode where enemies are just much stronger. Going by what I saw in that gameplay trailer, pretty much everything in that new Legend game mode is just a white version of Shadowkeep that we've got. But whenever they showed us, gameplay trailers of the story and everything Savathun related, that was all new. That was all brand new,
Okay.
never seen before stuff.
Yeah, so like I think that's
yeah.
all cool. And then I guess
Yeah,
finally,
no, I think that's fine.
I guess finally, in terms of the aesthetic, again, you have the pyramid ship, and I'm actually going to give my opinion that I think the pyramid ship in her throne world looks cooler than the one on on Europa.
I specifically left out the pyramid ship in my
purely
answer.
purely because of the one shot that shows a location that it does seem you'll be able to look like visits like in like on some high up location or whatever, overlooking a vast plain, and you can see the pyramid ship. And what I love so much about it is the sheer scale of the thing compared to the trees next to it. This thing's
Hold on. Check our chat and you can use that as reference.
All right. Yeah, exactly. Like that's a beefy boy. So,
That's a big boy.
so yeah, no. Aesthetic wise, I'm looking forward to it. The jungle stuff, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Also, what is also a valid thing that we don't know just yet is what the ratio is going to be between castle, jungle, and whatever. If it's like 3/4 jungle and then you get to kind of like walk in like the one castle, then but if it's evenly distributed, then that's fine. So that's my opinion on the aesthetic. In regards to weapon crafting, I'm gonna give a different take on it because I agree with everything Ewan said and everything you said. So like, if you're listening to this, just assume that I'm saying whatever. And also, I gave my opinion on the weapon crafting system. I had a whole video dedicated to that. So, like, I've already kind of had my piece about that. What I will say is the fact that so Bungie released pictures showing the weapon crafting station, and I've sent those pictures to you guys because we've had conversations about that already.
Yeah.
And somebody mentioned this in the Raid Secrets Reddit, and again I mentioned this in my video. But I did my investigation, and so basically the person was like, it seems like we're gonna be crafting weapons inside of a pyramid ship. Now, not only do I agree with them, but I have actually like found 100% proof that that's the case, because I found in one of the pictures you see like an urn, like a pot, and then I literally found a side-by-side comparison of that with one in the moon pyramid. So like, yeah, like 100%. It's not just like the walls and the floor kind of look pyramid ship. Like there's actually assets, models from the pyramid ship in that area. So for me, that's a game changer from a narrative and a gameplay immersion standpoint. So if you're talking about narrative, first off, I talked about this in my video. The weapon crafting like thing looks ancient. It looks like it was made by like an ancient civilization. And to me, I honestly think that whatever this thing is was made by the pyramid ship, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So like
you're absolutely right. And I agree with you.
Imagine if like the glaive is like one of their weapons or something. Like to me, that's just like from a narrative thing. That's just cool.
I believe you.
Yeah.
I believe you.
Yeah. Like I just can't. Obviously, I just can't say 100%. But like.
I know, but the fact that they say you get the glaive specifically from crafting and that thing is there.
Exactly.
No, I as much as you can't 100% confirm it, I genuinely believe you.
Yeah. So like again, from a narrative point of view, not only does it. I mean, okay, it's just a cool factor, man. It's just cool. Not only does it kind of give us more like insight into the nature of those within the pyramid ships, but it's just cool from a gameplay standpoint. It's
you're hyping me up now. You're really hyping me up.
It's like I'm
getting excited.
It's like, okay, I want to get a black armory weapon, so I'm gonna go obtain the blueprint from Ada, and then I'm gonna go and I have to find this lost forge and reignite it, and then it will forge it. Like, yes, it's just different systems to keep you playing the game longer, but you feel immersive. You feel like you're doing something in the world, like using the in-world means, if you get me. And so, like, yes, I want these weapons, and so I'm going to use ancient pyramid technology to mold in, like, with the old weapon molds,
which sounds badass.
It just does. It's so immersive. So I think, yes, I agree with everything you guys have said. I think it's going to be good for the game. Actually, sorry, one thing that I really hope is not in any way, shape, or form part of the leveling process is RNG. Again, we have no information on that, but I really hope it's purely just, you can make the grind as long as you want. Just make it 100% guaranteed that when you put in the time, you're going to get exactly that. If they do that, then I think it's going to be great. And that's basically everything to do with weapon crafting. And then finally, from the destination, I would like a well, actually, okay. I want two things. The first thing is I want three things. Sorry, okay, I'm being a bit greedy. I want three things. The first thing, and I'm actually going to say this is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Is the strike better be good? Because if the strike's not good, you can't just avoid the destination and then just avoid it. That's going to get put in the rotation, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, the strike better be good. Second off, I want good public events. You know, I want public events that are fun.
Yeah, change them up.
Again,
New mechanics in public events.
Just like that aren't tedious, you know? Like, you know, that are actually fun.
Yeah.
That make
Something I'd actually love to see, like, because we haven't had them in a while. Live events. Remember those?
I actually did enjoy the live events, believe it or not.
Yeah, live events were so good. They hyped you up so well, and that's what Bungie do really well. They do such a good job at hyping people up. As much as sometimes maybe they overhype, but that's one of the best things.
We always complain. Everyone.
I mean, no, you know, you're right. I mean,
the community
we do.
Does.
There's always this huge meme about live events, about, you know, they take too long and we're just staring at the traveler the entire time. But as far as I'm concerned, that's a moment, and that's a live event moment that we were all there for. You know, all the lads were there, and you know, we're there like getting really hyped and running through the last city, and we're all in different locations trying to get to each other. And you know, we were there for that moment, and we were there for that moment together. And I enjoyed that. You know, I'd rather. Like, was it long? Did I complain about it? Yeah, I did. But was I glad I was there? Oh, yeah. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Just to wrap up the question, the final thing that I want to say about the destination is that I would like a kind of what's the word? Like a blind well or escalation protocol kind of activity. If you get me, like, it's like, you know, it requires a lot of people.
I think escalation protocol was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. But like
I thought it was amazing. How hectic was escalation protocol?
It was so hectic. Yeah, I did miss that actually.
You get to the final few stages, oh my god, you've got like what was it? Like 7 shriekers, 3 ogres, 4 hive knights. It was just absolutely insane, and I loved it.
Yeah. So if they could, and I mean, listen, I think the more you link systems, the better. So like, if you want to link in, if you do have a kind of activity like a blind well or a escalation protocol kind of activity, if you want to link it to weapon crafting, one thing I will say about weapon crafting is that they have said that there will be a new like resource material that you use for it. I'm actually personally hoping that they restrict that to the Witch Queen destination.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I thought you were gonna say restricting how easily it's obtained.
No. I just because like if weapon crafting is as good as we hope it is, and then they link that really to the destination, that makes that destination always viable, and it stops it from being a Nessus or.
Oh, 100%. Because it means you're always gonna have to go there for that thing.
Yeah, and that
which is a good thing.
And that's basically everything I have to say about the three.
Are we gonna segue into gameplay?
I thought we were in game. We would define gameplay.
Well, sorry, not necessarily gameplay, but new modes and things like that. Because I've got a lot to say about the legend, and I've got a lot to say about the pyramid ship raid. Like, that's gonna be insane.
Ooh. Okay. Okay. Well, actually, you said that you might have work or whatever. Do you wanna? What do you wanna do?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, one thing, because you were saying about modes or something. One mode, because I was thinking of in my head that I would love to see would be some sort of like a survival mode. Like, it's been done in other games before. You and your friends. You have to fight off waves of like you're defending yourself and you have to fight off waves of enemies and you have to see how many waves you can get
Well, your
to.
wish is granted then, because that's exactly what Legend is.
There we go. There we go. I had no idea that this was coming.
There you go.
That sounds great. So, like, what do we know about Legend?
So Legend is basically it's a game mode which gets harder and harder and harder, and you basically just have to, going by what they've released. Obviously, you know, I don't know everything, but going by what they've told us, it's just a really, really intense, difficult, you know, game mode which gets harder and harder, and you play that with your mates to not die.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Obviously,
that
you know,
sort of, I guess, kind of Call of Duty Zombies-esque kind of mode, but like,
yeah,
I think it would work really well in Destiny.
Yeah.
I think that would be a cool idea, cool addition. Just something familiar that everyone can kind of pick up and play. That would be really good.
yeah. I actually agree with that.
But sorry, Ben, you were saying there a second ago.
No. You just said that you needed to get up early. I just didn't know. Like, I didn't want to. Like, I don't want to make you feel trapped by launching into a new segment.
You're good. No, I've got a bit of work in the morning. Unfortunately, I'm working on my weekends. You'd think I'd have weekends off, but unfortunately, I work on the weekends.
Grafting gets you the money.
Oh, I know. How else am I going to afford this Witch Queen? You know?
You gotta. I know. You gotta graft for it, bro. But it was really good to see you again, Ewan.
Absolutely.
We haven't spoken in a while, so it was good tonight. It was good to spend time with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure, I will talk to all of you again at some stage, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take care, dude.
Take care.
All right. See ya, guys.
So yeah, Ben. The Pyramid Raid.
Yes, it's just I don't want to get my hopes up.
See, now the reason why this is a really, really good topic to talk about is because this was a topic that we spoke about together last year when Beyond Light heavily hyped the fact that this was before we knew Aramis was a thing.
Yeah.
And Beyond Light was heavily hyping the fact that it was all about the pyramids and it was going to be a pyramid-related expansion. We actually spoke about, you know, there could be a raid on that pyramid ship.
Yeah.
And, you know, as much as we were disappointed back then, the fact and the reality of our current state right now is that there is indeed a pyramid and it is indeed a raid. And what does that mean, Ben? That means there's a raid boss, and I wonder what that's gonna be.
Okay, so like, okay, I'll tell you what I want from it, right? Because I'm not gonna try and predict anything. What I want is I want it to be purely inside of the pyramid ship, all of it. Like no,
Yeah.
okay. I want the first like opening encounter to be breaking into the thing.
Yeah, we get into the ship.
Yeah, and then I want the rest of the raid to be just purely inside of it. That's the first thing, right? I feel like I'm owed that. Second thing that I want, and listen, right? I actually personally, I don't. I can't believe I'm saying this. I don't actually care what the enemies are inside of this thing, right?
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't really care because, and the main reason for that is so like I'm sure there are people that like people who know, and I just want to say that like this is coming from Bungie that this is the raid, that this is inside the pyramid ship. So like the reason, like, so some people might think, okay, well it's inside of a pyramid ship, so there's a new like race of enemies.
Oh no, that's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen. So like that's why I don't care, because I'm not gonna
No,
get
I
my
mean,
hopes up.
if we're being completely honest, the race that's gonna be inside this pyramid ship is gonna be Hive, and I'm willing.
Hive or Taken, I would say.
I'm really, well, yeah. I mean, I kind of class Hive and Taken as the same thing, if I'm honest with you. But, I mean, in terms of lore, I guess they originally came from sort of Hive-esque, you know. But
But I sorry.
No,
So the main thing that I want is, listen. I understand that there's a good chance, if not a certainty, that there won't be like a pyramid ship themed race or anything like they'll be fighting. But that does not mean that I want Hive, Taken, or Vex themed armor or weapons from this raid. I want pyramid ship themed weapons and armor from this raid. Listen, unless this raid is massive and I get to do all kinds of exploring, if the weapons and armor are not pyramid ship themed, that's kind of a deal breaker for me, in my opinion.
I mean, if you're going to have the raid on a pyramid ship, then you need to have pyramid weapons, you need to have pyramid rewards, you need to have pyramid armor.
Exactly.
Heck, give us an exotic ship that's a pyramid ship.
Yeah.
An exotic pyramid ship that you can hover in orbit with.
And then, do you know what? Like if you asked me like 2 years ago, I would probably give you a different answer. But I don't really care about difficulty as much as I just want it to be fun, and I want it to be like it's fun because like
Garden of Salvation is a really good example for that.
I value difficulty, but like Garden of Salvation, like nobody wants to do it. Anybody who has divinity, nobody wants to do it because it's not fun in our opinion. We don't like the final boss. I want this raid to be like Deep Stone Crypt. You know, it's fun. It's easy to do. It's repeatable. You know,
Scourge of the Past.
Scourge of the Past, exactly. Those are the main things. I want to starting encounter, break into the thing. I want it to be decently sized so I can explore. Actually, do you know what I really, really want? And it's actually interesting how we've never seen this again. Is something similar to Last Wish, in that you can skip to the different checkpoints.
And you have to input something inside the pyramid ship to do it.
Doesn't even like input, just some kind of system where you can skip ahead. Just because like, oh, there's a cool like area that I want to explore.
I mean, since we're on the topic of a pyramid ship, you mentioned that weapon crafting is going to be inside the pyramid ship, and you've actually managed to cross-reference that. That means that we're going to be able to actually travel to this pyramid ship whenever we want, regardless of the raid.
Which would imply that perhaps weapon crafting becomes a thing after the raid has been.
I mean, it could be. Well, actually, I disagree with that, and the reason why is purely because of the glaive. Like the glaive is a new weapon type that we unlock purely from.
Yeah, but think about it. The raid comes out a week after the DLC. Let's
right.
Then
I think they're going to introduce that with the campaign. No, I think they're going to introduce it with the campaign. You know, they're definitely going to introduce the new weapon type as part of the campaign, 100%. But I mean, even so, that means that we can go to the pyramid ship sooner, whenever we want, and access the raid from there as well. Maybe.
Actually, do you know what? It's actually interesting you say that, right? Because if you want to talk about stuff like that, I mean, Forsaken was similar in that the raid was in the Dreaming City, and yet for the campaign, the entire campaign was on the Tangled Shore, and then the last mission was in the Dreaming City.
Right, so, that's correct. Yeah,
Like, I could see like maybe like one mission when we, like, as an introduction to explaining maybe why the pyramid ship's there, we kind of sneak in or something. I don't know.
Obviously, that's only if the weapon crafting is actually on the pyramid ship. They could it could actually be a separate location entirely. Yeah, sure, you've cross-referenced things, but they could easily copy and paste models.
I don't know. I kind of, from a kind of world point of view, I think it would be really cool if they locked the weapon crafting behind the raid, and then after the raid was completed, it was like, okay, canonically, like narratively, we've cleared out this thing, so now we can actually just walk in and do whatever. Obviously, you can still do the raid, but from
that would be cool. The only reason why I'm not getting my hopes up about this whole talk of we can go inside the pyramid ship and we can do weapon crafting and we can actually go there is because I've had this exact same conversation with you with the pyramid ship on Beyond Light. Oh, we can go straight over there. We can just use our sparrows and just go straight there.
But the difference is we never actually saw gameplay or even pictures of us inside.
Right, but at the time of Beyond Light, we actually did. They showed us content of us fighting Vex inside of the pyramid ship.
But that wasn't inside the pyramid ship. That was in the simulation.
Right, it was a simulation, but I'm saying when they actually were announcing it, we never knew that back then. we only know it's a simulation because we've played the expansion.
So, are you
and
saying weapon crafting is like going to be in a pyramid ship themed location outside the ship?
what I'm saying is I don't know. I don't want to get my hopes up for the how can I explain this?
I don't care. I don't care either way. By the way, I don't really care. I'm just like trying to
It
think of
would
what
be
makes
cool.
sense from a world kind of thing.
Well, I mean, going by what you've seen with weapon crafting, the location that it's in, cross-referencing things that are in the pyramid ship on the moon, and I love how we keep going back to the moon because the pyramid ship on Europa is just irrelevant. But the pyramid ship on the moon, and you've cross-referenced materials and vases and things like that, which 100% match the pyramid location. So going off what you have said and going off what we have factually seen in the crafting room, you can say right now this is pyramid ship themed because the only time we've only ever seen those things is on a pyramid ship. So one would assume that this weapon crafting facility is on a pyramid ship and we can go there whenever we want because you're going to be able to craft weapons and level up weapons and do this, this new gameplay mechanic that Bungie are giving us. Therefore, they're going to want you to have access to that. Will we be able to just freely go to a pyramid ship whenever we want? Is weapon crafting going to be a destination like the Helm that we jump into? I don't know. I would love to go on a Sparrow and just ride on over to the weapon crafting room. I would love to even click on a pyramid destination which takes me to the weapon crafting room. I just don't know. And the only reason why I feel that way is because of Beyond Light. I seen a pyramid in the background. I saw gameplay of the Vex inside a pyramid ship at the time. And then when Beyond Light came out, we couldn't go to that pyramid at all. And the pyramid stuff that we saw in the trailer wasn't the pyramid, it was a simulation. So, I don't know. I would love it. I would love it. I would love to go to a pyramid ship and craft my weapons. But it could just be in a separate location.
No, I just realized I may be running out of hard drive space. And as you can tell, it kind of went downhill from there. And that's the podcast. Like I said, I'll be making the Q&A part as its own separate podcast. It should be fairly easy. To do. I have the template done. And yeah, you can expect that in the coming days. That should be out before the end of the week. And I'll be honest with you, this is my first time doing a podcast, so it's really slowed everything down. I still have videos that I want to make, but this is taking up most of the time. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the next one. And if you have any suggestions for what we should talk about in our next podcast, if we do one, let me know. And with that being said, take care. Take care. Bye-bye.